And welcome to another edition of the Bullheaded Podcast. I'm your host, per usual, Sean Tyson, here with Zoo and Peebush. How you guys doing?
Doing great, man. Chicago Bears trending upwards. Got robbed on that PI call. I was texting Zoo. I was like, man, even the announcers were all on top of that one against Claypool. But got a superstar in the making with Fields, man. I'm sure he helped out a lot of people in fantasy this week. Won me a lot of money on DraftKings. So absolutely beautiful week. I'll take the loss, man. That's a good step forward.
Yeah, shouts to Justin Field, man. My team was on life support, man. If I lost this week, man, I was like, I'm trying to make the play-in tournament, man. So I'm trying to win every game possible. It took a Fields 42 performance to give me only a 2-point win because the rest of my team, man, absolute atrocious. But when you got Justin Fields on your side, man, it finally feels good to have a quarterback that actually scores more than 13 points, man. Because Aaron Rodgers, that's all that brother does, man. Score 13 points, man. Because oh, Jesus. I don't even want to talk about that dude, man. Oh,
and it won't get easier with Romeo Dobbs going down. So,
don't remind me, man.
It will not get easier.
Oh, remind me.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers has definitely been one of the biggest disappointments in fantasy. But like I say, prayers to all the people who had to go against Fields and Joe Mixon. That was a tough battle. And if you ended up winning those matchups, salute to you. But we're gonna actually start off with a dynamic receiver in Odell Beckham Jr. People were very sad when he went down in the Super Bowl last year. He looked like he was on the way to being the MVP in the Super Bowl with how he was playing. And, a lot of people kind of was like, he's going to have to take time to rehab and get back. Well, apparently they're saying that he's going to be back this week, in a week or two. And it's got a lot of people wondering, where he would end up. I think a lot of people thought he was going to go to the Rams, but now that the Rams pretty much suck, that might be out of the picture. Unless he just, unless he wants to be at home, which I can understand. I can understand that. So I wanted to ask the guys, what do you see OBJ fitting at? What is it with the contenders? Is somebody rising that's maybe not in the playoffs yet? What could you see OBJ playing in, I guess, a week or two? And Peebush, I'm gonna start with you.
Oh man, this is tough. First of all, if he's able to come back in a week, I mean that's like a 9-month recovery off of an ACL injury. It's pretty freaking impressive, man. I do think that I've read some reports that he was looking for a multi-year deal. I think there was actually a report like, yeah, exactly. And so I think he's trying to lock that down post injury. He does have the talent, and I'm sure a lot of teams are vying for wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 position that maybe he can fit into. I think at this point in his career, especially post injury, probably that wide receiver 2 is better for him, just so he doesn't have all the pressure on him from some of the top corners in the league. But man, I think he's got to go to a contender. I think he might have had a list of about 4 or 5 teams. Hell, it might even be longer than that. But some guys I'm looking at, the Ravens, Cowboys, Giants, Titans, I think those are all some teams that could really use some help in the passing game. I'm going to start with the Ravens, man. I just don't see him actually feeling wanted there, just because if Mark Andrews comes back and he's healthy, he's obviously their number 1 target. Lamar throws to tight ends more than any other position on his team. You got Bateman going down. Duvernay's not really doing much. I think they spread the ball around to like 10 different guys last night against the Saints. So it's kind of a committee approach when it came to the passing game. So, we saw Marquise Brown, man, he requested a trade out of Baltimore because he didn't feel like he was fitting into that offense. And if you're asking OBJ to go in there at wide receiver 1, I really don't see them pulling the trigger on that. Maybe on OBJ's side more than the Ravens. But I'm looking at the Cowboys and the Giants, man. I think these are 2 teams that are trying to catch the Eagles in the NFC East. The Giants are desperate for a wide receiver, man. They already traded Kadarius Toney. It's been an awful wide receiver room since they signed Kenny Golladay, man. That god-awful contract.
Yeah, that's a pretty bad
performance, man. So, they can only throw the ball to Saquon Barkley so much, no matter how much Zoo wants them to. And Daniel Jones can only carry them so far if he doesn't have anyone else to really throw the ball. So I think that could be a good option, but I think he'll end up probably with the Cowboys because Jerry Jones is just willing to spend money. He wants them to win. They've been looking to relieve some pressure off of CeeDee Lamb to be able to get him more open, and I think OBJ would be a perfect wide receiver 2, and then therefore Gallup can be in his more comfortable wide receiver 3 role. I just wonder how long his contract's going to be. So, I think if they're really trying to make a push and they do have probably the best chance to catch the Eagles, adding OBJ is only going to help, man, especially if they can get Zeke back healthy to be there with Pollard, even though Pollard should be getting more of the carries, Zoo. Sorry, man. But I do think that that's probably the best option for him right now. And then you look at the Titans, who could definitely use one, but I think it's very heavily dependent on if Tannehill's playing. And honestly, OBJ is not trying to work with a second game in rookie quarterback in Malik Willis, man. No matter, he did have some nice throws in that Sunday night game against the Chiefs, but man, that's just tough. He's not at the decision-making level where I think as a contender, OBJ might be considering. So I'm gonna go with the Cowboys as his best fit right now.
Wow, dude. Your opinion, man? I completely disagree with your opinion. Well, you hated on the Ravens pick, man.
Really?
That was my pick, the Baltimore Ravens, man. I'm telling you, this defense, man, they look pretty nice right now, man.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Even though the Saints, that was Roquan Smith, obviously they're going win now mode. You know me, I love win now teams, man. Going all in right now. You got Lamar Jackson, who's looking up and down. He obviously started an MVP high, and they had some lows, man. But he's going to regress back to me, which is a top 10 quarterback right now. And you know what I'm saying, man? Get the brother a number one wideout. Even though there's risks. There's risk. I don't know about the multi-year contract with this brother. Because this guy consistently gets injured. He's I'd say on the frailer side, like he ain't a big, strong looking dude. He's more on the skinnier side. So obviously injury risk is huge, but you got to take risks to win Super Bowl because this team is Super Bowl ready, man. This team is Super Bowl ready with Mark Jackson, even though the entire offense right now is completely battered with injury, makes them like Rashad Bateman out, man. You need a wide receiver, Odell Beckham Jr. Let's go, man. Because the answer ain't old ass Deshaun Jackson, man.
Nope.
That ain't the answer. That ain't the answer. Even though he can still play a little, man. He ran out that little route he ran. Pretty nice, so fast out there. But give me OBJ all day for Lamar Jackson, man. A guy with great hands, man. Good route running. Hopefully, like I feel like this guy is just a superstar, man. Just gotta take risks on superstars, man. Even though the re-injury risk is very, very high, you've got to be willing to take risk right now. If you get on a 1-year deal, come on. No brainer. Get Lamar a number one wideout.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, man. Get this guy a number one wideout, man. Try to unleash this guy's ability to throw. Because right now, obviously, Mark Andrews is also injured too. So this guy was passing the football to Devin Duvernay and Kenyon Drake, a bunch of no names out there, man.
Isaiah Likely.
Yeah, Isaiah Likely got that one nice little tutty, man. Like that ain't the answer for Lamar. Give the guy some help because the team is ready to win now, right now. It is ready to win now. I believe in the defense. The offense passing obviously is not the best strength, so give guy more help to win in the playoffs because Lamar Jackson's got to be throwing it deep in the playoffs. Like you're going to be down in the playoffs. You got to be able to throw the football, and this will increase Lamar Jackson's ability to pass down the field and whatever you can do to get it done, man. Get it done. Give him a 2-year deal, man. Give him a 2-year deal.
That's fair.
I'm not mad at that.
I just don't know if he'll just make that decision to go there though, because it is kind of on OBJ's. He can kind of make the decision, obviously, if he's getting multiple offers.
But if you're the only team that gives him a 2-year deal, man.
Yes. Then he'll. I think he'll pick the safety net over immediately getting another Super Bowl because he already won one, man. I mean,
he got nothing to prove. He was in the Super Bowl game.
Nothing to prove, exactly. So I just think that if he has multiple offers and one of them is the Ravens, it could be the Cowboys or whoever else. I just don't know, man. I saw a lot of overthrows from Lamar Jackson last night, man, and I don't think Odell's trying to deal with that.
Yeah. One thing about Lamar I was watching last night, though, I think we undersell like how strong his arm is because I don't feel like he ever has his feet set, and he just flings it, and it's like those darts that he has on those slant routes and when he's throwing those go routes, his feet never look set. So it just seems like it's all arm. Like I think we kind of underrate sometimes how far he can throw the ball. It's just something I noticed. Maybe it's just because I was really watching the game last night with the Saints or whatever. But, preseason, I think all of us preseason, before we even knew what was going to happen, we knew Odell was, like, rehabbing. We were thinking, like, the Packers is the obvious choice. But now that the Packers are so freaking bad that they lost to the Detroit Lions, you can pretty much put that in a coffin and put it on the ground 6 feet because there's just no way he's going to the Packers. But if the Packers were, like, one or maybe one, even 2 games under 500, you're like, that's maybe a pretty good, right? That could push them over the edge, but it's just not happening.
Do you know who the Packers need, man? Jerry Rice, man. Jerry Rice in his prime right now.
They might need.
That's the only savior.
Dude, Aaron Rodgers, man.
Yeah, he is crazy.
3 picks.
It's
the red zone.
It's going to be interesting, man. That's going to be a conversation way down the line, like just in
Yeah.
terms of what they do with Aaron Rodgers. But man, that's it. That Detroit game was that was tough.
He looking like Jordan Love out there, man. He looking like Jordan Love because
like he hadn't played.
I never
before.
seen a quarterback that's so great with his pedigree look so goddamn awful after 1 year, man.
And
after
he was
coming off
raging.
an MVP year. Oh, he should be raging. If you watch your game tape, you're like, man, who's this scrub out there?
Yeah,
like, I didn't recognize the man.
I mean, this is
the worst defense. This is the worst defense in the NFL.
Yep.
At least bottom 2. And he threw 3 interceptions.
Yep.
And I started him as my fantasy quarterback. Thank the Lord. I played against the scrub this week because fantasy guys, thank you for blessing me because having Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback is a sin in fantasy football now, man. It is a sin. He should be waived in all leagues.
They were running out of options that they started trying to throw to David Bakhtiari in the red zone, man. And he still threw it.
I don't even know who they had. Another guy, Sam Torre or whatever. Never heard of him. I've heard of Amari Rodgers, but that's just because he does punt return. But yeah, it's getting doom and gloom. But
Christian
that was one
Watson
of the teams.
Concussion.
Yeah, he keeps getting. He's been hurt, like leg injuries. Like it's been very tough for him because he was actually the first receiver they took in the. I think it was like top of the second round. So yeah, I don't know.
Bears finally have a better quarterback than the Packers.
It might actually be true right now.
It is.
In present day, Justin Fields is a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers, definitely, and he has no way or nowhere but to go up. So, so that was one of the teams that you was thinking like, okay, that would be a cemented one. So, like I said, I agree with the Ravens pick. I kind of. And with P-Bush, I probably trend towards the Cowboys a little bit more because I feel like Jerry, like you said, he likes to be in the headlines. He likes to bring stars to Dallas. So he might actually do the 2-year deal just to make a statement. Be like, look, I got Odell Beckham with Dak Prescott, and we got all these weapons, and this is a year because we got a great defense, yada, yada, yada. So I could see Jerry doing that. So since those two have been taken, I was thinking about other contenders in the AFC and NFC. The Bills, if Gabe Davis wouldn't kind of established as the number 2 there, I would have been like, that's a nice spot for Odell. And now with, we may be talking about it later, Josh Allen, his arm injury, like Odell's not going to want to be catching passes from like a backup because he's still trying to make his value higher than what it is right now. So that's one of the teams I kind of scratched off. So I was thinking like, who are some teams that maybe could be a sleeper? And I thought about another team in the NFC that's a contender in the Vikings. I kind of like him. Right now, Adam Thielen is probably better than Odell. But, if he responds off that knee, he could become a nice number 2. And then if Adam Thielen's your third receiver, they already got TJ Hawkinson. You kind of already know you're going to have some offensive firepower because if they have a collision course with the Eagles, you're going to have to match them because when they matched up the first time, they looked like they had no idea what they was doing.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that fit. Now, Kirk Cousins, I know he's on a high right now. He's playing better than what most people thought. I mean, he's always been an average quarterback, but he's got the chains on now. He's like the
Kirk Thuggin,
I guess the coolest. Yeah, Kirk Thuggin for real. I think he's like maybe the coolest quarterback in the league, quote unquote. So he's playing high right now. If he continues to play that way, maybe that's an enticing position for Odell because. We all know the established number 1 is Justin Jefferson. Like I said, you got Thielen in that second spot. Hawkinson is maybe their third guy that also, could maybe jump to that second in order if he goes over Thielen. So it's like, Odell could come in, no pressure. He could just ease his way into it. Now, some would say Minnesota's kind of been in these close games and their record doesn't really reflect how they've really been playing, but they've been winning the game. So maybe that's a situation that Odell can go to and he can ease his way into maybe, the third or fourth guy. And then come playoff time, he'll be a factor. But I think it's all going to be dependent on how his knee responds. Like you said, it was 9 months. So I know technology is different. Athletes work harder. Surgery is better. So maybe it's not as crazy to come back from an ACL, but it just seems like, the Super Bowl happened in February. It kind of seems like it's rushed. So maybe he may need to go to a team where he's not needed right off the bat. Because the one thing about Baltimore, I do understand that just from Lamar just never had a receiver. Like he's never had a guy who's been a brand name receiver and has the pedigree of being a number 1. But it's like that's a lot of pressure on Odell. Like and with him being that he would be no disrespect to Devin Duvernay, Demarcus Robinson, but he would be the number one receiver, like outside of Mark Andrews, especially if Mark Andrews is coming back from his knee and shoulder. So like that's a lot of pressure on him. So I don't know if he's maybe quite ready for that, but maybe his knee is strong enough and he'll be able to do that. And if Odell trusts his knee, then Baltimore, if I'm Odell and they give me a 2-year deal, I would love to go to Baltimore because I know I'm getting the ball. Like nobody's eating into those, targets set for Mark Andrews. So I don't know. And
they should be the team to pull the trigger. I just don't know if he'll be that enticed to go there unless he doesn't have any other options. That's my only concern with the Ravens.
I do think if I put money on it, he's going to Dallas.
Yeah.
Because and you gotta think about Odell, like follow the tea leaves. He was in New York, even though he got drafted there. Then he went to LA. I mean, Dallas just seems like the natural spot where he would go. Yeah. And it kind of makes sense because CD's number one. He can slide into that number two. Like it's not a bad thing. And they're a contending team. Who like I say, in the NFC East, you're gonna, like I say, the NFC is the Vikings, it's the Eagles, it's the Giants, like the Cowboys. You got to kind of have whoever has the most explosive offense, which has been the Eagles, is going to be the one that's going to end up probably taking the NFC crown. So you're gonna, you can never have enough. Yeah, it's another one, sleeping giant, especially with McCaffrey. Speaking of the NFC West, dude. We can get in that another time, man.
We got that wrong.
The Seahawks, yeah, dude, completely wrong. We got that completely wrong. It's insane how upside down that division is. But speaking of divisions, we're going to switch over to the AFC. We had I think people saw firsthand with the Dolphins. They were in a shootout with the Bears. The Patriots did what they did against who did the Patriots play? I can't remember.
The Colts.
I think it was the Colts. Yeah, dismantled them. We kind of knew what was going to go there.
And in someone's coaching career, man.
Yeah, for real. Got Frank Wright out of there. Welcome, Jeff Saturday.
Bring back ESPN analyst, baby. First time coaching.
Insane. Just that. When I saw that, I almost thought that was fake news. I was like, Jeff Saturday is like intern? Like, huh?
I thought it was mad in 2011.
I thought it was some rogue intern at ESPN just putting out just whatever on his way out or something. But so that happened, and then the Bills and Jets played, and nobody saw that win coming from the Jets, but. It got me to thinking, what is the future, I guess you could say, look for the AFC East? Because, we're probably about to talk in a minute about Josh Allen and, some of the things going around him and his injury history. Or not history, but his injury in the future. And, Zoo, what is your outlook for the AFC East? Who do you, maybe you could say who's going to win it, who's going to fall back? What you thinking?
Man, for me, man, I got to shout out the New York Jets, man.
For real.
That defense is tough, man. That's a tough defense. Like legit. That's a top 10 defense right now. That's what it looks like. Because the quarterback ain't helping, man. Like Zach Wilson had a good game for Zach Wilson.
A PJ Walker game, man.
Yeah, he had a nice game. Like I'm still not sold on Zach Wilson as a quarterback, man. But
me either.
I got to shout out to Garrett Wilson because this guy he had a couple of bad weeks. It happens as a wide receiver. Don't get as many targets. Not as productive. Not his fault. But this dude. Unbelievable. This guy is an unbelievable talent at the wide receiver position. He's just held back by a quarterback, though I consider mediocre. But Garrett Wilson is the real deal. I'm a little sad because I just traded this brother like a week ago, and this guy started going off.
Thank you, sir.
This guy starts going off. But, yeah, Garrett Wilson's the real deal. And they're doing this without Breece Hall right now. Like, they put in James Robinson. This committee back, they're pretty productive right now. Michael Carter, James Robinson's like a 50-50 committee right now. They've been pretty productive as a running duo right now. So shouts to that, man, because the Jets, I thought they're going to be complete trash this year, man. I had them less than 5 wins this year. I had them like around four wins this year, and they already hit the over this year. Like they're 6-3 right now. So shouts to the Jets right now for showing up. But they're just a cute story, man. They ain't going to make any noise, but it's a cute story. As Jets fans, you can applaud it. They've been very competitive. Robert Saleh, taking those receipts or whatever, but okay, let's make the playoffs, and you can take more receipts after that. Making the playoffs, I'll be real impressive. So the Jets are a cute story, but they ain't gonna make no noise, man. From in the Miami Dolphins, though, whoo! Oh man, that offense is fun to watch. Yeah, I'm telling you, like Tua, man, Mr. Tua, man, he really chucking it right now. Like, or maybe Tyreek Hill is just a god of football because this dude is going down as like one of the greatest receivers of all time. Like this, you could make an argument that Tyreek Hill is one of the all-time receivers up there with like Jerry Rice and Calvin Johnson. Those guys.
Yeah, he's up there. He's getting there.
It doesn't matter who throws him the football, man. because all this guy does is get open because he's just faster than you. There's not much you can do about it. The only thing you can do is double team him. But then you got a dude on the other side in the Jalen Waddle who's also almost as fast as Tyreek Hill. And the way they're utilizing the receivers, man, with the young quarterback, it's a beauty to watch right now. So their offense, that's a scare off. That's an offense that could be any football team.
Yep.
Like, I think they're the real deal. If they make the playoffs, they could definitely make some noise. And McDaniels is a coach. I love the Dolphins, man. And obviously, with Josh Allen's injury right now, that's because obviously this year they're 6-2 right now. The offense looking elite, defense is elite. This was the team that came as the Vegas favorite over the Kansas City Chiefs of winning it all, and pretty much they've been living up to expectations for what we've seen so far. Like, obviously, Josh Allen losing to the Jets, like. Yeah, man. I'm like, that's actually pretty wild. Yeah, that's pretty wild, like losing the Jets. But Buffalo Bills are obviously elite. But if Josh Allen out of the picture, man, I think this is the Dolphins division to win.
Yeah,
like absolutely. that offense is just beautiful to watch. So even the running game, like this committee, Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, very productive. It's like come from the 49ers coaching tree, man. The way they utilize running backs is very similar. It's like it goes with the high hand. Last week was a 50-50 committees since both guys were rolling. So it's an offense that I enjoy to watch this year. Like very enjoyable to watch this year. So
that was an under the radar trade acquisition. I think, a lot of people are like, oh, they're just kind of, most of it.
Bye-bye Chase Edmonds, man.
Yeah, adios Chase.
We messed up.
Yeah, exactly.
Have fun in the Rockies.
Yeah. And you're pairing up guys that they have a repertoire playing in San Fran together. So, I mean, they're only, that one makes Mostert happy. I'm sure he was not happy when he got called out for Chase Edmonds being brought into the game and seeing what kind of passes he was dropping. So I got to agree with you, man. I think, at least at the time we're taping this, man, we don't really know where Josh Allen's at. It's still pretty early in the week. I think maybe we'll obviously get an update probably closer to Friday as we see, how practices are going. They say at the worst, he might need Tommy John surgery, which, to be completely honest, I've never heard of an NFL player needing Tommy John. You normally just see that pitchers in baseball, the occasional outfielder, because you're just throwing so much. Allen does have a bit of he kind of throws the ball a little weird, almost like a baseball a little bit. So you wonder if just his throwing motion after, a couple of years of bombing it down the field to Stephon and Gabe Davis, could be taking a little bit of a toll. So, I do think that I think Case Keenum's their backup. Is that right? I think he might be their backup.
Yes, it is.
Look, man,
their backup is.
You could probably say that he's probably the best backup in the league. You're up there. And, he's won some big games for big teams in the playoffs. He took the Vikings team pretty far. So it's not a horrible option when you have that good of a defense backing you up, when you do have that many weapons. But, man, I just think looking at this Bills team, man, I don't want to say that they're all that offense is built completely around him, but it kind of is, man. Devin Singletary, I mean, you saw like he rushed for maybe 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did throw 2 picks and fumbled the ball, so it was a rough game for Josh. But, man, this makes me just wonder why they didn't try and pull a deal off for McCaffrey. I really don't understand why they didn't do that. I don't think that even with Josh Allen healthy, I'm thinking more of to the Super Bowl. But, man, if they can't get their running game going whatsoever, and I've said this for 2 years now, they're not going to beat the best of the best, even though they're the Vegas favorites. So right now I do have the Dolphins winning this division, Zoo, if this injury does become pretty serious. I think watching them play, Gesicki, very on and off, but he's still a big target that Tua can go to. He's proven the haters wrong, man. They haven't lost a game when Tua's played the entire game. And I think that's a big shout out to McDaniels, really, Mike Daniels buying into Tua right from the beginning and saying, this is our guy. Tyreek Hill was buying into it as well, saying, you guys are going to see. And Tyreek was completely right, man. He's on pace to break Cooper Kupp, possibly break Cooper Kupp's record. Probably will break 2,000 yards receiving this year just based on how this season's going. Incredible. Waddle's probably going to hit at least 1,200, 1,300 yards as well. I mean, and then I'm looking at, you look at the Jets and you look at the Patriots, and I don't think the Patriots are going to make that much noise, but both of those defenses are going to cause problems in divisional games. The Dolphins, it's sad, Sean, that you had to open up and say that they got into a shootout with the Bears. You don't really hear that often, shootouts with the Bears. But, I do think that once they come across some of the better defenses in the NFL, very interested to see some more of the Bills-Dolphins action. We'll see what they're able to do on the offensive side of the ball when they do go up against some of the better defenses. But I think the Jets will probably end up around like 9-8, 8-9. We'll see I don't know what the rest of their schedule looks like. But yeah, man, I'm just eyeing Tua, man. If he can get down, not take any more concussions, don't take all the big hits, and he can make those throws down the field. This might be the best juggernaut in the league. I think you could argue that they have as good of weapons as the Buffalo Bills do, if not better.
Yeah, I agree. It's a clean sweep for me with the Dolphins. And I think, like I said, I know the Bears lost two of their linchpins on the defense, so they're not the best defense right now. But with the Dolphins, looking at their offense, most people were thinking like, okay, it's two of the guys. You're going to be able to get Tyreek the ball. Is going to be able to get Jalen Wall the ball. How are they going to run the ball? Yada, yada, yada. Well, like you say, if Josh Allen is as hurt as they're saying they are, and he might be out for a couple of weeks, then that automatically puts the Dolphins in the driver's seat to win that division. And the Dolphins have already beaten the Bills earlier this year. So, like you say, if they're not going to play Josh Allen, then they're probably going to end up winning that game. And I know last week I said it's like a less than 5% chance, but that's all dependent on if Josh Allen played. If Josh Allen's not playing, and I push that up to like 55, 65% that they could win that game up there. So then you start thinking about playoffs, man. It's like, how explosive that offense is. Like, I kind of want to see like the Dolphins versus the Chiefs now in the playoffs, just to see those two offenses go up against each other, because they're kind of similar. Like, I would almost maybe say the Dolphins defense is maybe a tick better than the Chiefs, but it ain't by much. So it's like, it's just going to end up probably being a shootout. And that's, like you said, that's a testament to McDaniel and how he's taught those guys and, changed the culture with whatever, like, I guess whatever the new coaches they always say they do with changing the culture and putting out the bad guys and bringing in new personnel, whatever. But he has changed them a lot. And I think him having faith in Tua, because, before that, I think Brian Flores was not the biggest Tua guy. Now, I can understand why he wanted Justin Herbert over Tua. I think we all would. And so maybe that went into his decision-making, how he played Tua, throughout his tenure with the Dolphins. But it's showing that Tua, he's shown a lot of resiliency with how he's played with, all the head stuff and just all the crap he had to go through dealing with that, especially that just disturbing, I'd say, Cincinnati game. That's tough to watch. So the fact that he's bounced back from that and showing that he could play at a high level, it's putting the Dolphins in more of a, I know this was about the AFC East, but they could be a contender in the AFC if that offense is lighting people up. Because, like I say, I don't know what other defenses in the AFC that you would be scared of. I know the Bills have a really good defense, but I mean, their defense
a little bit.
Yeah, Ravens a little bit with Roquan, like you said, but with the Bills specifically, to me, I think what helps a great defense is having a quarterback that can ball control and having a running game that helps. And if you ain't got Allen, and like you said, they didn't get McCaffrey, that's going to be tough. Like, there might be a lot of 3-and-outs, which is going to put the defense back on the field. And I don't care who you are and how great your defense is. If it's on the field all the time, it's not going to be as good. So that's just something interesting. And like I say, no disrespect to the Jets or Patriots, cool stories. Like, they're over 500. Like I said, nobody would ever thought the Jets would be over 500. But, the chances of them making noise in the playoffs or making a run, it would have to be Tua get hurt, Josh Allen get hurt, all their skill, Stephon Diggs going, just a bunch of stuff would have to happen for the Jets and the Patriots to make a run towards the playoffs. So in the AFC. So, like I said, I just thought that was an interesting subplot. There's going to be other divisions we're going to be talking about further along the road. Just wanted to make this announcement with the people who follow the Bullheaded_pod page. We do talk about NBA on this podcast, but it is the NFL. Most people want to hear about the NFL. I know there's been a lot of stuff going on in the NBA, but trust me, guys, we will be talking about the NBA. Like you say, Kyrie stuff we really don't care about, so we're not going to sit here and preach about that for 90 minutes. I know a couple of people have said stuff in the DM just asking, like, hey, you guys going to be talking about NBA? It's like, yeah, we will. It's just, maybe more towards Christmas and Thanksgiving, and maybe we may start bringing in more NBA topics. But it's the NFL. People like to talk about the NFL, so if you guys want to see NFL content and watch us on here, you can Quantron knows the YouTube page, Bullheaded_pod for Instagram, Bullheaded864 for TikTok. I do all type of videos, try to switch it up on different types of platforms. So make sure you guys tune into that. Make sure you guys subscribe to our Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, audio version. Try to get those up around Thursday, Friday, depending on traffic and stuff like that with the algorithm. So make sure you guys tune in for that. And for me, Zoo and P. Bush, we are out.